When you buy your first apartment, you're ready to overlook things. You have to be. So when I moved into that old pre-war building in the cheaper part of town, I told myself the weird layout was character. The rent was low because the previous tenant, an old man named Mr. Garrett, had passed away inside. They said it was a heart attack. A neighbor found him a week later. I'm a graphic designer. I work from home. I can handle a little bad juju for square footage I can actually afford. The first few weeks were fine. Boring, even. But I noticed things. Little things. The apartment had this strange echo, especially in the hallway leading to the bedroom. It felt like the walls were farther apart than they should be, if you know what I mean. Like there was a gap, a hollow space. I tapped the wall, and it would sound empty. Then there was the cat. My neighbor's cat, Mittens, a fat, lazy thing that usually ignored everyone, started hissing at my hallway wall. Every single time she walked past my door, she'd stop, her fur puffing up, and just stare at the plaster. I laughed it off. Old buildings, I told my friend Sarah on the phone. They have mice. Or ghosts. I didn't believe in ghosts. The noises started about a month in. At first, I thought it was the pipes. A low, groaning sound. But it happened at the strangest times. Not when the heat kicked in, but at 3 a.m. Every single night. It wasn't a groan, actually. It was a creak. Like the sound old wood makes when someone puts weight on it, very, very slowly. I'd lie in bed, holding my breath, staring at the ceiling. And I'd hear it. A slow, deliberate creak. Right behind my headboard. Like someone was shifting their weight from one foot to another. On the other side of the wall. I told myself it was the building settling. It's old, I'd whisper. It's just old. But I started checking the locks twice. Then 3 times. One Saturday, I decided to finally deal with the musty smell in the hallway. It was a damp, sickly sweet odor that I couldn't scrub away. I figured mold was growing inside the wall. I'm handy enough, so I grabbed a hammer and a crowbar, and I decided to open it up. It was harder than I thought. The plaster was thick. But when the crowbar finally punched through, the smell hit me like a physical force. It wasn't mold. It was something dead. Something that had been dead for a very, very long time. I stumbled back, coughing, my eyes watering. I grabbed a flashlight and shined it into the hole. I wasn't looking into a wall cavity. I was looking into a room. A small, narrow room. Maybe 4 feet wide and 8 feet long. Like a standing closet, but hidden between my apartment and the one next door. There was no door in there, no way in or out except through the wall I had just broken. And it wasn't empty. There was a chair. A single wooden chair facing my bedroom. And on the floor, a mattress, stained and filthy. Fastened to the wall above the mattress, with what looked like old coat hooks, hung a collection of women's wristwatches. Dozens of them. Each one stopped at a different time. I wanted to run. I wanted to call the police. But my eyes were fixed on the wall facing my bedroom. On my side. The plaster there was thin, almost translucent in places. I could see tiny holes, pinpricks of light coming from my bedroom on the other side. He had been watching. Mr. Garrett. The quiet old man who died of a heart attack. He had been living in my walls. Watching me sleep. Watching them, but that's not the worst part. That's not what makes me wake up screaming. The police came. They found evidence of, well, you can imagine. Missing women from the last 20 years. They told me I was lucky he was dead before I moved in. Lucky, they said. I moved out that week. I couldn't sleep. Every creak, every groan, sent ice water through my veins. I'm staying with Sarah now, on her couch. It's safe here. It's new. The walls are thin, but they're honest. Last night, I was finally starting to drift off. The city was quiet. Sarah was asleep in her room. And then I heard it. Not a creak, but a whisper. So faint, I thought I was dreaming. It was coming from the wall behind the couch. A dry, raspy voice, like dead leaves scraping on concrete. It said one word, my name. I shot up, my heart hammering against my ribs. I pressed my ear to the cold plaster. Nothing. Just the hum of the refrigerator. I waited for an hour. Nothing. It was just my imagination, right? Trauma. PTSD. That's what Sarah says, but there's something I didn't tell the police. Something I found when they were taking down the watches. There was a small diary in that space, wrapped in oilcloth. The handwriting was shaky, the writing of a very old, very sick man. It wasn't a confession. It was a diary of his guests. The last entry wasn't about one of them, the last entry was about me. It was dated 3 days after I moved in. It described the color of my sheets. The time I went to sleep. It said my breathing was too loud, and the very last sentence, written the night he supposedly died of a heart attack, said, "The new one is perfect. I will have to be very, very quiet from now on. She will never know I'm still here. I'm not afraid of Mr. Garrett's ghost. I'm afraid he was never a ghost. I'm afraid he was just a man who knew how to be patient. And right now, sitting on this couch, typing this, I can hear the floorboard in the hallway behind me creak. It's probably just Sarah getting water, probably.